Welcome to Very Rich Stories, where you will see stories, many of them true, all of them original, of betrayal, secrets, and twists of real lives. Get your popcorn, this is part 2 of The Planner, The Land That Does Not Exist, and Her Revenge. The Planner, The Land That Doesn't Exist, and Her Revenge. Part 2. The next morning, Melanie receives an email marked, "Confidential, my father's legacy." She opens it. Attached is a scanned map, yellowed with age, tattered edges, with lines drawn in blue ink and a big dark blue square or rhomboid. The email reads, "I sent this to you because I want you to pray over it." Melanie is curious about the antiquity of this map but never wonders if it is real or not. She pours coffee, staring at a printed copy of the map. Scribbled text in one corner reads, "Family Compound, David's Farm, 1983, in blocky letters." Her phone buzzes again. A text from David, "I hate even asking. I'm fasting about it. But if you can help with $5,000, just for travel and a retainer for my land advocate, I promise I'll repay you tenfold. This is my family's future. Mine and, one day, maybe, ours." She doesn't respond to that romantic bait. "So," he continues, "I haven't been home in years." "Oh, I've never been to your country. My passport is ready. When do we leave?" "Melanie, there's politics. Corruption. Danger." "Oh," sighs Melanie, disappointed but not surprised. "Yeah, I'd be too worried. What if a mosquito bit you?" "So, I'm not invited?" "Not this time, but I have to see how things are and then I can prepare the way for you to go next trip." "Why haven't you been home in so long?" "You know, busy here, looking after my daughter." "The daughter who goes to school abroad?" Melanie thinks to herself, recalling his conversations from before, but she says nothing. Just let him talk is her motto. However, things are not making sense. Then she asks, "Okay, so you're headed out soon? When are you leaving?" "Well, I can't really leave when I want to. You see, the orphanage I support, they're blind children, Melanie. God's littlest warriors. I wire what I can every month." Melanie's phone chimes with a link to a grainy video of some African kids in front of a school. Wow, she thinks, wonder when that video was taken, 1950. But instead she gently says, "That's kind of you." He chuckles softly, "It's nothing. It's my duty. When you're from my background, certain things are expected." Melanie asks, "What background?" Melanie's phone rings and it's David, taking the conversation from texting to talking. David starts talking, continuing the conversation. With calculated humility, let's just say, the bloodline carries weight. In some circles, they'd call me his royal something. But I've always preferred service over status. What I really want to do is one day get off the grid and move back home. I hope I wouldn't be too presumptuous to say I'm going home now to get things ready for you, and then you will go with me on the next trip." Wow, thought Melanie. This is deep and it is sudden. God, is that you? She wanted to yell out. Royal blood. A family estate. An orphanage full of blind kids. I was starting to feel like I was in a Nollywood movie, but he delivered it all so sincerely. Like it hurt him to talk about it. "Melanie, you will fall in love with those kids. I wonder how many of them you would want to adopt." "Adopt? I've never thought of that, David." Melanie, forgetting that he had said he was 1/3 the way to being a billionaire, weighed out whether she would lend him the $5,000 all day. This is a good 'cause, she was thinking to herself, which was more than likely what he wanted her to think. Melanie was not connecting that he was broke. Broke royalty, which is not even possible. That is not even a thing. Still, she considered lending him the $5,000. For some reason she also thought that would be safer than one of his email investments. Later that night, Mel is on the phone with David, who continued to speak in hushed, urgent tones as if he was narrating an online story. David is on the phone, saying, "They're draining the well on the property. Literally and spiritually. My father's legacy is being desecrated, Melanie. You said the will was clear. Doesn't that protect you? David responds, in theory. But you know how it is over there. Corruption. Tribal politics. Witchcraft. I have to go in person. No lawyer will risk it for me remotely. So go. What's stopping you? Work? David sighs heavily. No, I can work from anywhere, but flights, documents, security. I had money put aside, but I wired most of it last month to save the orphanage. The one with the blind children? Truthfully, Melanie didn't believe there was an orphanage. She didn't believe there were blind kids in it, but she didn't want to err on the side of unkindness. David replied, yes. They needed medicine and a generator. The blind kids needed light? Melanie paused because she didn't want it known that she had just thought that, and wasn't sure that her mouth would not betray her. Melanie didn't like who she was becoming, dealing with this person. This. David. David continued, I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no to the orphans. But now. I'm short. Melanie didn't believe any of this, any more than she had believed that he was worth $1/3 billion. A man worth $1/3 billion doesn't move like this. He doesn't take Tupperware and bottled water from another person's house. $5,000 isn't even pocket money, it's the change in the cup holder in the car of a $1/3 billionaire. Melanie herself knows millionaires who keep $5,000 or $10,000 in cash in the glove box or console of their cars, for contingency and incidentals. A $1/3 billionaire doesn't complain about spending $250,000 on child support. This is the same man who said one day he was praying against poverty and he said the Spirit stopped him and told him that he had never been in poverty. $5,000 Melanie rehearsed silently in her mind. But by this time, something in Melanie wanted him to go. Not for himself, but for her peace. Yes, he should go. Please go. She thought that when he returned he would then talk about things other than money all the time. A few days before, David had called me. He was distracted, but he called it multitasking. The man that doesn't eat much was eating or chewing something over the phone. It was loud, and as he smacked he was rude. Where had those polished Sunday dinner manners gone? He was rambling on about this, that, or the other, then I heard a certain noise. RRRKKRKRKKRK. What's that sound? I asked. Oh, he said casually, just the shredder. I'm moving out of my apartment. Can't leave anything behind. I didn't ask why he was shredding, or why he was shredding while we talked. I didn't ask him where he was going to be moving to, because how do you move out of an apartment, take an overseas trip for a month, and then return with no place to live? Or maybe he was moving to Colorama with the rich medical doctor, after all. Wherever he was moving, it wasn't going to be my house. He seemed rushed, almost breathless, but I didn't ask him why he didn't pack earlier, why things seemed so sudden. Even though he was grooming me for cash, this seemed sudden. And I didn't ask him why he couldn't leave anything behind, because I didn't want to know. What was the most telling was he at that moment, as if it was a brilliant idea, offered me a free Peloton from a friend of his who was moving, and they didn't have enough room where they were moving to for this exercise equipment. I politely declined it because 6 months earlier he had asked me the exact same question, and offered me the exact same piece of equipment with the exact same reason. Obviously, he had forgotten that first time. But every time he glitched or slipped up in his stories, something inside of Melanie twisted or shut down, just not wanting to deal with this anymore. Her friend's voice that had suggested that this might be the spouse that God has sent, was fading from her mind more each day. Melanie didn't want to be too judgy, after all, none of us are perfect, but she didn't see how God would send this kind of drama. Not only were things not adding up, it didn't seem as if these were even numbers that needed adding. It was more like word salads and word problems. And the solution to every problem was money. David had asked me 2 interesting questions recently, on 2 different days. The first was, could he store a few things in my house? I said, no. Out of character, One Sunday evening he said that it was getting late and could he stay overnight at my house? I said, okay, there is the guest room. I locked my bedroom door that night. I've never slept in the same house with him before. When I woke up the next morning it was very quiet and he was already downstairs, dressed and sitting on the couch. On the kitchen table was a stack of a few books and his things. The books were from my bookshelf, where I had more than one copy of a book, which I am known to do. I sometimes give books away as my ministry. He had simply acquired a copy or two for himself, and stacked them like a schoolboy would his schoolbooks ready to leave for class. He had more than one copy of a couple of titles. I suppose he was going to gift them to someone. Certainly not the blind orphanage. These were not children's titles. But he could have asked before acquiring my property. I was appalled, wondering what else did he go through in my house while I was asleep. Then he asked another day if he could stay at my house all day while I was at work. That answer was also, no. But he wouldn't hear me. I didn't want things to escalate, so I called out from work to stay at home all day as well. He goes to his car and comes back with the original plats of the maps he had scanned to me. That day he had said, I wouldn't share this with just anyone, Melanie. But I trust you. These are the original land surveys from my father's estate. These are the originals of the virtual copies I emailed you. These are images of plats that belonged to my great-grandfather. They don't even draw up plats like this anymore. It's massive. Over 1,200 hectares, ranch land, 4 palm oil groves, 2 churches, 6 tenant homes, all mine. All left to me. What's on the property was changing with each conversation. The speech continues. But now I've discovered the man I called my brother for 25 years. He's not my brother. He's not even my stepbrother. He just showed up as a kid after my father died and said he was my father's child. We took him in and helped him. As an adult, he forged documents. He's been stealing rent, farming the land, living in the main house, renting out the grazing pastures. He hasn't sent me a penny in all these years. It's a mess. David sleeps in the guest room and leaves the next morning. The next afternoon. Man, he doesn't stop. Melanie's laptop. She gets another email. This time the subject line is more urgent. Limited opportunity 72-hour capital window. She doesn't open it. Just stares at the screen. He was patient. But not too patient. The pressure was always there, underneath the scripture, the prayers, the sweetness. He wanted me to say yes to giving him money, some kind of way. Any kind of way. He had asked for money in so many different ways. It was such a common theme. The only difference between him and a panhandler on the corner was the approach, the outfits, and Creed or Aventus or whatever fragrance he was wearing. $500 a bottle. Oh, and church, and praying. Melanie's older sister is a lawyer. Anna doesn't meet David. David asked to meet her, but Anna had adamantly refused. No, I don't want to meet him. She said she had heard enough to size him up. Weeks ago, David had started coming to Mel's house every Sunday after church and eats dinner with her. It seems normal, but then it gets weird. He starts asking for food to take home. He takes water bottles out of the fridge home. He is being very churchy and applies no romantic pressure, so for a while Melanie had believed 2 things. God saw a lot more good in David that she didn't see. And her friends had convinced her that maybe he's trying to build something real. Anna starts to believe that he does not have money of his own. He's always walking in the damn park, she'd say. When does he work? Melanie is wondering if he is married. Anna has had enough. She is on the phone with Melanie. Anna is dry and direct. So he eats your food, takes your Fiji water, and quotes scripture for dessert? Melanie in a somewhat defensive tone says, he's respectful. It's not like that. He's just traditional. Focused on God first. Melanie doesn't believe any of this herself but just says it to sound nice and churchy. Anna snorts, girl, I've met broke, traditional men with great scripture memory. You think he's not applying pressure because he's holy? He's testing your boundaries. He's applying pressure on your refrigerator and wallet. Don't be fooled because he's not asking for what men normally ask for. Melanie pauses and then says, "You think he's married?" Anna says, "Or broke. Or both. A man with money doesn't move like that. He doesn't leave with food rations in Tupperware. The Sunday afternoon visit, and he leaves by 7 or 8 p.m., that screams married man." The next morning David is texting bright and early. "Any word from the spirit about the money? I need to finalize my trip soon. The lawyer is holding my father's deed hostage. Please pray about it. I'll fast again tonight. This isn't about just land. This is destiny. And it is much bigger than me." Anna is on the phone. She is both blunt and cynical. "You're telling me this man has a father who left him a continent, and now he needs your $5,000 to go collect it? I'm sorry, he left him a continent 30 years ago and he is just now going to collect it? Really?" Melanie says, "I saw the maps, Anna. I have them." "You have them? How?" "He gave them to me, to pray over, actual documents. Names, borders, watermarks, old maps, weathered and torn. Yeah, like his lies, weathered and torn." Anna laughs. "Girl, Google fake inheritance scam Nigeria. You'll find maps, too." Melanie responded quietly. It sounded real." Anna responds, "That's the problem. It always does." Melanie remembers David's words, "Please pray about it. I'll fast again tonight. This isn't just land. This is destiny. And it is bigger than me. This could mean jobs for the people of that village. They don't have anything else. My father's businesses used to support so many people. That's what I thought my so-called brother was continuing, but basically, he is taking everything for himself." Later that night Melanie logs into and stares at her banking app. The cursor hovers over the Zelle button. I wanted to believe him. I wanted it all to be true. And it was the $5,000 I was going to invest anyway. What better than to invest than a person? Or a poor village that doesn't have anything else? And what if it is true? She did not want to err on the side of unkindness, after all. She stares at the message, jaw clenched, then slowly decides to send him the money. David calls immediately. He is so excited, exuberant. He says, "I have to at least take you to lunch before my flight. It's because of you that all of this is happening." He's leaving in a week. We decide on a spot and he is late again, of course. We go for a quick bite. When we come out, I don't see his car. He absent-mindedly goes over to a 1999 Camry. "Whose car is this?" I wanted to know. Oh. This is my nephew's car. You know I have a sister who lives here. What are you doing with it? Oh, I don't want to leave my good car at the airport for all that time, so I'm driving his while he details mine. He's going to borrow it for prom tonight. Oh. Melanie offers to take him to the airport. He declines, says he's got it covered. She offers to pick him up from the airport on his return. He declines that as well, says his sister will pick him up. A week later, David calls Melanie as soon as he arrives at the airport. He only stops talking or texting once he boards his international flight. He talks to Melanie all the way there, through Casablanca and every other stop and layover. Then the phone lines get sketchy, after the first week, because it is the rainy season, so he says. He visits for a month and then returns. He sends a text to say he's going to the airport to come back to the US, with a layover in Ethiopia. It all sounds so exotic. These are ports of call that she'd like to travel to or see. He says after he lands, he is coming straight to her house, but since she didn't hear from him since he boarded in Lagos, it was as though he's now traveling with someone now and can't talk. It's as though he is somewhere that he can't speak. He is not even answering her texts. She checked flight logs online, since he had sent her his travel itinerary before he had flown out. He had moved out of his apartment. That was very odd. Where did he go? And where was he going to live next? Looking at his itinerary here is something she hadn't seen before. He flew out of Richmond International, but was returning to Dulles. This was very odd. She went online and confirmed the flight that was coming in tonight at midnight, Dulles. Melanie grumbled to herself, this man is too much work, but she decided she would go to the airport herself to surprise him. She found out there was only one flight coming in tonight from Lagos. At first, she thought she'd greet him, not so much that she missed him, but she wanted to see with her own eyes if he was traveling alone, as to why he went completely silent after only texting that he was on the way to the airport to board his international flight in Lagos. She wanted to do her own research. 11 p.m. He had said his flight was coming in at midnight. She got there an hour early, so she'd be situated in the right place to meet him. She knew he'd have to go through customs. Is this man even a U.S. citizen? Can he even get back in the country? Could he make it through customs? But as she parked her car in the airport parking deck, she saw a familiar vehicle, the 1999 Camry. The brake lights just went off. Was that David's nephew's car? Was his nephew coming to pick up his uncle? And why didn't he drive the Lexus instead of his old car that belonged to his nephew? It had just parked, crooked and in a hurry. A tall figure got out. David. David? How can this be David? He opened the back driver's side door and took out a small bouquet of red roses. What is going on here? David, she repeated to herself as she watched him walk hurriedly with that bouquet in his hand toward the airport terminal. He looked like a man on a mission. David, she repeated to herself. The man who is never on time for anything. Wow, thought Melanie. He's never bought me flowers. Who is he going to meet in that airport? Is he expecting the flight that he is supposed to be on? What a liar, she whispered in a near-silent exhale that confirmed so many of her suspicions. What a liar. Melanie had planned to go into the terminal, but why should she, now? She's parked near enough to his car to see whatever else she needs to see. She stared at the car as if it could drive itself and would drive away, disappear or take flight. This is no Tesla, it's a Camry. It's not going anywhere until the driver comes back. She processed David's stories in her head. He needed to go home to protect his dead father's legacy. He was an orphanage supporter. He was a financial planner. Was any of it true? Probably none of it was true, she decided. Mr. Nigerian Prince has come out of every scam email into real life. Why did he pick her? God, is this a joke? She mused to herself. Why had he chosen to waste her time? And money? Melanie dozed off a couple of times, but had bought a swell thermos of hot coffee and took a few swigs of it from time to time for the near hour and a half that she stalked the Camry. Then it happened. She heard the sounds. Footsteps clunking and echoing like a Clydesdale on the cement parking deck floor. Laughter, gleeful happy laughter. There was a young woman with him. His daughter? Melanie thought so, at first. Was she coming home from Sweden? But roses? A daughter doesn't get roses like that. Whoever this young lady was, she was beautiful and held the roses like a bride. He picked her up and spun her around and then planted a lingering kiss on her lips. Nope. Not his daughter. Nor his sister. A girlfriend? She is dressed in traditional Igbo wear, very simply dressed. He needed the money to send for her and he was here to pick her up from her flight. Melanie had lowered her car window to try to hear more. He said, Mrs. Williams, welcome to the U.S. We are finally together. His wife. This is his village wife. She smiled shyly and was so excited that he had a car. His own car. She made a huge deal over the car and he just stood there beaming. Melanie surmised that where they are from that car is a really nice vehicle. Melanie's response? Just shock. What a dog. Her feelings weren't hurt, it was a matter of relief to know the truth. She was angry, however, that he used her money to fly a village wife over, one that looked about 20 years old, about half his age of 40. Guess he likes them young. Melanie decided to follow them from the airport. She kept her distance, which was hard because he drove so slowly. She wanted to hurry and get to wherever they were going so she could go back to the comforts of her own home. Finally, they arrived in a not-so-good part of town, to an unkempt townhome. Melanie shut her headlights off and then the engine and watched them park, get out, kiss again. As he went into the trunk for her suitcase, she marveled at the townhome. "Is this your house, Olga?" "Our house," he said. She said in broken English, "It is a very fine house." He sat the suitcase down by the front door as he picked her up in his arms and carried her over the threshold. He was all smiles, all teeth. That was about all she could see in the darkness. Yes, this is his wife. And, he still had a place to live. Was this his new place? It's been a month after all since he suddenly moved or fake moved. What had he been shredding that day? Could be anything, she guessed, either something he didn't want this woman to see, or some other kind of evidence. As Mel was leaving David's neighborhood, she looked everywhere for the white SUV. Oh, this was no Lexus neighborhood. That car was not here. Makes no sense, he wouldn't trade cars with a teenager, and the prom was weeks ago. She then realized this really is his car and not the white Lexus that he drove to church. It was approaching 3 a.m. when she got home, the hour when miracles and attacks happen, according to David. She wondered if what she saw tonight was a miracle or an attack. Either way, it was definitely a shift in the spirit. Before going to bed, Melanie took a few moments to send a tell-all text to her sister Anna that she would surely read in the morning. "Your boy is married. I saw him pick his village wife up at the airport just now. I'm fine, I'm going to sleep and putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'll call you when I get up." The next morning Melanie slept in. She was exhausted. But her sister Anna is up early, and at her laptop, sleeves rolled up, a cup of coffee untouched beside her. Her screen glows as she types David Williams CFP into Google. She squints. Scrolls. Anna, muttering to herself, "All right, Mr. Landrich Orphanage Per Warrior, let's see who you really are." She clicks on a link, a professional profile for David Williams, certified financial planner, based in Georgia. White man. Bald. Early 50s. His picture is on the site, smiling in front of a city skyline. He is a legit CFP with identical credentials. He owns a very large firm, but he happens to be white. Anna scrolls the profile and does the behind-the-scenes research. It's all real. Real CFP registration. Real office in Atlanta. Real credentials going back 20 years. She clicks About Me, and there it is. I've proudly served clients across Georgia and the Southeast. Anna dryly says out loud, "Oh. Okay, then." Anna sends her sister screenshots of the real David Williams, the CFP site, the LinkedIn profile. Anna starts drafting an email. Subject, possible identity theft. Urgent, Dear Mr. David Williams. The real David Williams answers the email that Anna sent. I do not operate out of Virginia, nor do I work with religious organizations or offer international investments. Now Tracy, you're the best online investigator I've ever met. Let's look into the court records. Anna began to scroll and scroll and scroll. All she could say is, Lord, have mercy. This man lives in courts, he's the defendant in 24 cases, or more, all involving money that he owes people and businesses. Anna can't wait, calls Melanie immediately and puts her on speakerphone. Mel, are you up yet? Mel answers, yeah, hey, what's up? Anna blurts out, he stole someone's identity. The real David Williams is a white guy, lives in Georgia, and has nothing to do with churches or Africa. The guy you've been praying with and eating Sunday dinners with has 3 or 4 different middle names and has 3 or 4 different ages, but it's him. He cycles through middle names like passwords. Mel, it's definitely him, same address. There is one online court profile where David is described as Caucasian. Mel suddenly blurts out, whoa, this guy is the opposite of Caucasian. Anna said, that's what happens when you steal a white guy's identity. Mel quickly says, "What? You turn white? Seriously, wait, what?" Anna continues, "I found his LinkedIn, his company site, CFP registration. All legit. The man you've been praying with is not the real David Williams." Melanie was at first quiet, but says, "Then who is he? The LinkedIn guy looks legit." "So who is David?" Anna answers, "A liar. And probably a criminal. Look, Tracy is here. She's my top online investigator." Anna and Tracy are each at a laptop, creating a fake online persona, Angela, an investor. Tracy, while grinning, says, "He thinks he's slick. Let's see if Angela from Atlanta can get his real bank wire info." Melanie adds, "Let's make him believe she's dumber than I've led him to think that I am. I am a PA, for goodness sakes. And it looks like you and Tracy are PIs. Once I get this info, I'll turn him over to authorities. There is too much that doesn't add up about this guy." He bit the bait right away, like a hungry hippo. He sent wiring information to Angela from Atlanta. She wanted to invest $20,000 that she had just inherited from her grandmother and said she didn't even know where to start. Not one thing was real. God is real, but this guy is not. Lord, forgive me for even praying with a charlatan. There's no David at church today. Wonder if he's really still in Africa? Or somewhere else? He told Melanie that he had to suddenly go back only a month after his alleged return, the one where he never had left. Mr. David Williams still thinks that he has the upper hand, but I have his playbook. And he certainly didn't get anything more from me than I was willing to give. This time, he said he'd be gone a month. I haven't heard from him. It's been 8 months. That man, 6 feet 2 inches and 210 pounds of suspicion as far as Melanie was concerned. While he was allegedly in Africa, he had texted Melanie on WhatsApp. No calls, but texts. He sends her images of supposed places in his country where he was, but upon close inspection these pictures are screenshots from TikToks and other online sources. He sent short videos of places where he says he is in Africa, but he is not in any of the videos, and they are all forwarded to him. From whom? There are no pictures of his land, farm, or ranch. How about the church his father built before he died? Melanie is not sure this guy can ever stop. Now the church needs to be repaired and painted. And he needs to buy plants from a nursery farm there to plant more palm oil trees. Paying the farm hands that he has hired is depleting his bank account, he says. Melanie ignores all references to money. She's not sending him another cent. He's not too good at this scamming and conning, is he? There is not one request for prayers together. And, about his daughter whom he nearly worships? He doesn't mention her once in months and months. After about 3 days of faking being back in the country, David had texted Melanie to let her know that everything went well and he was going to be super busy continuing to get everything straight with his inheritance. And the lawyer was a friend of his from back home and was coming to the States to visit for about a month. This was to let Melanie know he wouldn't be too available for the next few weeks. David's real identity was flagged by international authorities, David Obasai. They found him in Northern Virginia in a modest townhouse with a woman identified as his wife. "Hey," Melanie exclaimed, "that's the townhouse he took that young girl to. He had been living there for 5 years according to the report. So he never moved from any place. This guy is scandalous." She spoke the tiniest bit of English. She was fluent only in her native tongue, an Igbo dialect. She was 22 years old and had overstayed her visa, just as he had, many years ago. The irony is, as soon as David Obasai learned the feds were onto his scam, he was packing up to run. The real David Williams had reported Obasai for taking on his identity. He had even tried to use the real David Williams license number to legitimize his paperwork for funds from investors. So Mr. Obasai had quickly fled the country with his young village wife that he had sent for with the $5,000 that he had fake borrowed from Melanie. He really is in Africa now, but he wasn't before. Neither of them are citizens and cannot get back into the country. David Obasai has no idea that Melanie has found him out and that he was forced to flee the country. After lending him the $5,000, Melanie never got another investment opportunity offer in her email from David again. He also forgot to move out of his fake business location in that high-rise downtown. When the authorities found him, he was with his 22-year-old village wife, Amma, driving that 1999 Camry. Now Melanie knew why he was always late every time they met. When he wasn't driving his luxury rental SUV, he came late to be sure no one saw what he was driving and so he wouldn't park anywhere near the person he had come to meet. Melanie is now working with local groups to warn churches about affinity scams. This guy even had maps. Now that she thinks about it, Melanie realizes that if the old maps were his grandfather's or great-grandfather's, but they had his name on them 20 years before David was even born. People do not just write on precious old documents of antiquities. Pay attention to every detail. When they don't add up, don't make them add up. They may not even be numbers or real numbers that you're trying to add. He tried to scam my money. But what he really wanted was my trust. And that's what I'll never give away for free again. It is so disappointing to think that while you are out here living your real life, there are people who are play acting, living a fake life. Those two things can never mix, like oil and water. Don't let the planners plan your life, they may not even be real planners. Thanks for tuning in to Very Rich Stories. Share if you've ever been targeted by a scammer. Don't let silence be your scammer's greatest asset. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing. The end. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, a comment and subscribe. Tune in again to Very Rich Stories for videos of betrayal, secrets, and twists in real life.